Tonight, you open your eyes, but the world around you isn't your own. The air is heavy, thick with the scent of sweat, oil, and dust. You're lying on a slab of cold stone, staring up at a ceiling crossed with wooden beams. Somewhere close, metal scrapes against metal, a chain shifting, a blade being drawn. The sound is slow, steady, rhythmic. It belongs to someone who's been doing this for years. You sit up, the light in the room is dim. A narrow line of sun cutting through the shutters. You can hear breathing, dozens of others, slow, tired, resigned. The space around you is not a cell, not exactly. It's a barracks. Rows of cots, wooden walls stained by time. The air smells of men who have trained, bled, and dreamed in the same place for too long. You are in Rome, and you are a gladiator. The word means swordsman, but to live it, to wear it, to survive it, is something else entirely. Each morning begins with the same sound, the sharp voice of the magister, calling you to rise. The floor beneath your feet is gritty. The sand sticks to your skin. You pick up your training sword, the rudies, its wooden edge already splintered from yesterday's drills. The courtyard waits for you outside, a rectangle of packed sand surrounded by high stone walls. The early sun burns down, and every shadow seems to stretch toward you like a hand. Around you, men are already training. The crack of wood on wood fills the air. The sound is constant, echoing, relentless. You move as you've been taught, feet apart, weight forward, arms steady. Your opponent circles you. His eyes are narrow, focused. The same hunger hiding behind them that hides behind yours. The first strike hits your shield hard enough to make your arms ring. The second comes faster. You block again. You stumble once, but recover. Every mistake is punished, every slip remembered. The sand beneath you carries the lessons of those who came before. Some of them never left this yard alive. You can almost hear them still. Their breath, their curses, their laughter fading into the dust. You train until your arms ache and your lungs burn. You fight until you no longer hear the doctor's orders, but move by instinct alone. The wooden sword feels heavier each day, and yet it becomes a part of you. At first, the training feels endless. You lose all sense of time. Days blend together. Heat, dust, bruises, and silence. But slowly, something begins to change. The movements that once felt awkward start to flow. The balance comes, the rhythm, the understanding that survival here is not about strength, but control. When the sun falls, you return to the barracks. The air inside is thick and still. Some men talk in whispers. Others stare at the wall, lost somewhere far away. The sound of sharpening blades fills the room like a lullaby. You lie down on your cot. The wood creaks under your weight. Across from you, a man carves a small symbol into the wall. A name, maybe, or a prayer. He doesn't speak. You don't ask. Sleep comes slowly here. When it does, it's heavy and dreamless. You dream not of freedom, but of the next sunrise, the next fight, the next chance to survive. In the darkness, you can still hear the faint roar of the city beyond the walls. Rome is alive out there. Its taverns, its streets, its markets, the world of free men. But inside these walls, time belongs to someone else. You have become property, a weapon waiting to be used. And yet, beneath the exhaustion, Something burns quietly within you, a spark that refuses to die. You don't call it hope, because hope is dangerous here. It's something smaller, simpler, the will to keep breathing, the will to stand up again tomorrow. Outside, the moon rises over the city, the torches flicker, the night is calm, but never silent. Somewhere, you hear a distant cheer, faint, like a ghost. Perhaps a fight has ended. Perhaps another name has been forgotten. You close your eyes. The sand is still clinging to your skin. Your hands are rough. Your body sore. But you are alive. And in Rome. For a gladiator. That's enough. Morning comes before the sun. You wake to the sound of boots on stone and the scrape of iron doors. The air is still cold, but already thick with the smell of oil and sweat. Someone shouts your name. The day has begun. The courtyard waits beyond the door. The same patch of sand. The same high walls. The same faint echo of chains rattling somewhere behind you. The light is dim at first, soft, golden. Then, as the sun climbs, it becomes sharp and white, slicing across the arena until there is nowhere left to hide from it. You line up with the others. The doctor stands before you, his arms crossed, eyes unreadable. He doesn't shout. He never needs to. A single look from him is enough to silence 20 men. Around his neck hangs a whistle, but you've never heard him use it. His discipline is older than noise. He gestures. Training begins. The first hour is repetition, footwork, balance, posture. You move in circles, the sand slipping under your feet. The wooden sword feels heavier than iron. Every swing burns through your shoulders. Every parry makes your ribs ache. When you falter, the doctor doesn't scold you. He simply waits. He knows pain will teach faster than words ever could. There are men here from every corner of the empire. Gauls with bright hair and hard faces. Africans with eyes that seem to see through you. Greeks who mutter prayers under their breath as they fight. Most were slaves. A few volunteered. None are free anymore. At first, you hear a dozen languages echoing off the walls. Then, over the weeks, the words fade. Everyone begins to speak in the same rhythm. The thud of feet, the crack of wood, the slow grunt of impact. It's a language of survival, and you learn it quickly. By midday, the heat is merciless. The sand clings to your skin, turning sweat into mud. You keep moving. The doctor paces among you, his eyes sharp, watching how you shift your weight, how you breathe before a strike. Every detail matters. Every motion is part of something larger. The rhythm of death and display. He stops before you. His voice is quiet when he finally speaks. Again, he says, you obey, you thrust, parry, step, strike. The pattern repeats until thought disappears. The sword becomes an extension of your arm. The sound of your own breathing becomes the only thing you can hear when he finally calls an end. The silence feels heavier than the noise. You kneel in the sand, head low, chest heaving. Your arms shake. Your vision swims. You taste iron in your mouth. Blood. Maybe. Or the dust itself. But in the exhaustion, something strange happens. A calm settles in. You begin to understand what the doctor meant when he said, a gladiator doesn't fight for victory. He fights for control. Later, the guards bring food, barley porridge, beans, a piece of bread. You eat in silence, sitting shoulder to shoulder with men who might one day stand across from you with real blades. No one talks about that. No one has to. It hangs in the air between every word. As the sun sets, the courtyard glows red. Training is over. You file back to the barracks, feet dragging through the sand that seems to cling to you no matter how much you brush it off. Inside, the torches flicker. Shadows move across the walls like ghosts. Someone hums a tune, low, mournful, from a land far away. Another man sharpens his weapon, slow and steady. The rhythm of the blade on stone is almost comforting. You watch him, and for a moment, the noise becomes hypnotic. You lie back on your cot. The wood is rough beneath you. The ceiling beams are dark with soot. You can still hear the city faintly outside. A carriage wheel on cobblestone. A distant laugh. A dog barking. Rome feels close enough to touch, but impossibly far away. Your shoulder throbs from the day's training. You run your fingers over the bruises and cuts, each one a small reminder of who you've become. You think about the others who trained here before you, men whose names no one remembers. You wonder how many of them saw the arena, how many came back. The doctor's words return to you as you close your eyes. Pain is not your enemy. Fear is. Learn to live with pain, and you'll live longer than most. You breathe slowly. The air tastes of smoke and iron around you. The barracks settles into uneasy silence, the kind that feels more alive than peace ever could. You turn onto your side, feeling the weight of the day settle deep into your bones. Somewhere beyond these walls, Rome sleeps under the stars, but in here, in this place of sweat and shadows, you dream of only one thing: surviving long enough to see the light again. The morning of your first fight comes quietly. The sky outside the small window is still gray, neither night nor day. A color that feels like waiting. You've been awake for hours, lying on your cot, listening to the sounds of the barracks, men shifting in their sleep, the faint hiss of the torches burning low. Then the door opens, and the sound changes. Boots, keys, armor. The scent of oil and iron fills the air. A voice calls your name. You rise without speaking. The room is colder than usual. You move slowly, letting your body remember the weight of itself. The guards lead you through the narrow corridor that smells of damp stone. Somewhere ahead, you hear the muffled echo of a crowd, distant but steady, the sound of thousands breathing together. In the armory, your armor waits. The metal gleams dull in the torchlight. A doctor helps you dress, layer after layer. Leather first, then bronze, then the heavy helmet that closes around your head like a shell. When it locks into place, the world grows smaller. The air becomes hot. Your breath echoes inside the metal. You can hear your own heartbeat. He says nothing as he checks each strap, only nods once when everything is in place. The gesture is small, but it means everything. For weeks he has watched you bleed, fail, rise again. Now, for the first time, he looks at you not as a student, but as a fighter. The gates ahead of you open onto darkness. You step forward. The tunnel smells of dust and old blood. The floor beneath you slopes upward, toward the sound that grows louder with every step. Then, light. It hits you all at once. The sun, the heat, the roar. The arena opens wide before you, a vast circle of sand and stone. The sound of the crowd is not like anything you've ever heard. It isn't a single noise, but thousands of voices merging into one endless wave. You can feel it vibrate in your chest. You blink against the brightness. The Colosseum rises around you like a mountain of people. Every seat is filled. Faces blur together into a living sea. You can smell them. Their sweat, their perfume, the smoke from the torches. You can taste it on the air. The sand under your boots is soft, freshly raked, pale as bone. It gives slightly with each step. Across the arena, another gate begins to rise. You watch as your opponent steps into the light. He is younger than you expected. His armor gleams. His eyes flicker between fear and fury. You recognize that look. It's the same one you carried once. The crowd quiets. A horn sounds. The fight begins. You raise your shield. The world narrows to two people and the space between them. He moves first. Quick. Testing. You block. The impact running down your arm like lightning. Another blow, harder this time. The sound of steel meeting steel echoes up the walls. The crowd gasps. You circle. Sand shifts beneath your feet. You breathe in through your nose, out through your mouth, just like the doctor taught you. Wait, watch. A feint, a swing, another clash. The rhythm takes over. Time bends around it. You stop thinking and start moving. The way fire moves, without hesitation, without mercy. Then, a mistake. He lunges too far. You pivot. Feel the opening. Strike. The edge of your blade catches his shoulder. He stumbles. The crowd erupts. You follow through, pressing forward. Shield high when he falls. The noise breaks like thunder. For a moment, you just stand there, chest heaving, blood in your mouth, sunlight blinding your eyes. The other man lies still in the sand. Your own heartbeat drowns out everything else. Then you hear it. The chant. Thousands of voices calling, demanding, pleading. Some cry for mercy. Others call for blood. The emperor's box rises above them all. Draped in crimson and gold. He lifts his hand. The moment stretches. Every breath you take feels like the weight of a lifetime. The emperor lowers his thumb. You do what Rome expects of you. The crowd explodes again. The sound shakes the very air. You feel none of it. Only the heat, the smell, the weight of the sword in your hand. When the gate opens, you walk back into the tunnel. The light fades behind you. The sound fades too, replaced by your own ragged breathing. In the shadows, the doctor waits. He doesn't speak. He looks at you, then nods once more. You've done what you were made to do. You step past him into the dark. Your armor slick with sweat. Your hands trembling slightly. Somewhere above, the crowd still cheers, but it already feels far away, like another world. You survived. That is what matters. And as you walk back toward the barracks, the sunlight still burning behind your eyes, you realize that something inside you has changed. You are not the same man who entered that arena. You are something else now, something Rome will never forget and never truly see. The sun has already begun to fall by the time you leave the arena. The roar of the crowd still trembles faintly in your ears, but it's fading now, dissolving into the low hum of the city. The corridors are dim, torches flickering against the damp stone. Your footsteps echo softly, a rhythm slower than your heartbeat. You pass other fighters, men bloodied, limping, silent. Some have lived, others will not see the dawn. The air smells of sweat, smoke, and iron. You can still taste dust on your tongue. Your throat burns when you breathe. When you reach the armory, you remove your helmet. The air that rushes in feels cold and sharp against your skin. Your hair is soaked. Your face is streaked with grime, with sweat, with blood. Some yours, some not. The doctor is waiting there. He doesn't speak. He looks at you for a long moment, then places a hand on your shoulder. His grip is firm, a silent acknowledgement. You have survived. No words are needed. Survival is the only victory that matters. You walk back through the narrow hallway, the same one that had once led you toward light and noise. Now it carries you into silence. Behind you, the gate closes with a heavy sound, final, almost sacred. You feel it in your bones. Outside, the evening air smells of rain and fire. The city glows beyond the walls, alive and indifferent. You can hear the faint rhythm of music somewhere, laughter spilling from a tavern. For them, the games are over. For you, they never end. The guards escort you back to the ludus. The other men are waiting when you arrive. Some cheer softly, clapping you on the back. Others watch in silence, their faces unreadable. You can see the question in their eyes. What was it like? But no one asks. They already know the answer. You sit down on the edge of your cot. Your body feels heavy, as though gravity has doubled. Every muscle aches. When you look at your hands, they're shaking. The blood on them is drying to a dark crust. You rub it off on your thigh, but the stain remains. A slave brings water in a clay basin. You wash slowly. The water turns red. The sound of it dripping to the floor is strangely soothing. You stare into it until the ripples fade, until all that's left is your reflection. Blurred, unrecognizable. For the first time since morning, you are alone. You think about the man you killed. You can still see his face, not in anger or pain, but in understanding. You had looked at each other in that final moment and known that one of you had to stay behind. You wonder if someone will speak his name tonight. You know no one will speak yours. Outside, the barracks hums quietly. A few men laugh, trying to drown out the memory of what they've seen. Others drink, whispering prayers to gods that never answer. Someone sharpens a blade, each drag of metal on stone echoing through the dark. The sound is calm, measured, almost like breathing. You lie down. The cot creaks beneath you. The oil lamp beside your bed burns low, its flame trembling in the draft. You close your eyes, but sleep doesn't come easily. Every time you start to drift, you see flashes, the sand, the blood, the crowd rising to its feet. The Emperor's hand. You turn onto your side. The night outside the window is black. The stars swallowed by the smoke of Rome. Somewhere far away, dogs bark, and the sound carries like a distant memory. You breathe, slow, careful, each breath heavier than the last. Victory feels nothing like you imagined. It is not triumph. It is emptiness, a hollow space where fear used to live. You've survived, but you're not sure what that means anymore. Still, deep down, a small ember burns, the realization that you are still here. You lived through the day Rome demanded your death. That truth hums quietly beneath your skin, fragile and electric. When dawn comes, they will call your name again. They always do. You'll rise, put on the armor, lift the sword, and step back into the sand. Because in Rome, Every victory is just another beginning, and for now, as the torch burns low and the city murmurs beyond the walls, you allow yourself this one moment of stillness. You close your eyes, you listen to the silence, and you dream, not of freedom, not of home, but of the sound of the crowd fading into nothing. The next morning, the barracks is different. The air feels heavier, but quieter somehow. The men who see you as you rise don't look away this time. They nod, slow and deliberate, as if acknowledging something larger than words. You've crossed a threshold that only a few ever reach. You've returned from the arena alive. The smell of oil and sweat fills the room again. Outside, the training yard is already alive with the sound of wood striking wood, of metal ringing faintly in the distance. You watch for a moment from the doorway, the light falling across the sand in long, golden lines. You could join them. You will, later. But for now, you simply breathe, letting the world return to its rhythm. A guard enters, carrying a folded piece of cloth. He sets it down beside you, a new tunic, finer than the one before. He doesn't speak. He doesn't need to. It's a gift, a mark of your survival. Rome rewards those who entertain her, even if only for a day. Later, you're summoned to the yard again, but not to train. The lanista, the owner of the ludus, is waiting there. He's dressed in white, his rings gleaming in the sunlight. His smile doesn't reach his eyes. He claps you on the shoulder as though he's known you all his life. You can smell the wine on his breath. Good work, he says. The crowd remembered your name. That sentence stays with you longer than it should. He tells you that the people cheered, that bets were made in your favor, that the emperor himself seemed pleased. He calls you victor for a moment. You almost believe it, but you know better. Later that day, you're taken through the streets of Rome, not in chains this time, but in daylight, among the free. The air feels strange on your skin, clean, open, filled with scents you'd almost forgotten. Bread baking, smoke from the baths, the faint sweetness of flowers from the market. People notice you. They turn to look. Some point, others whisper your name. A few approach, eyes bright with awe. Children run alongside you, laughing, asking questions. Was it true? Was he strong? Did you see the emperor? You smile, because that's what they want. You nod, because that's what's expected. But inside, a part of you recoils. Their admiration feels like another kind of cage. You pass the Colosseum again, in the daylight. It's almost beautiful, golden and vast, catching the sun like a jewel. You can still see the gates, the ones that opened for you yesterday. For them, it's a monument. For you, it's a mouth that swallows men whole. The lanista leads you to a tavern near the forum. Inside, it's loud, laughter, music, the clatter of cups. He tells stories about you to the others, exaggerating every detail. You sit beside him, nodding when he expects you to. He speaks of your courage, your strength, your composure before the emperor's gaze. He doesn't mention the fear. He doesn't mention the man you killed. For them, the fight is already a tale. For you, it's still echoing inside your chest. When you return to the ludus, the sun has set. The barracks glow faintly with lamplight. The men gather around you, eager to hear what it was like beyond the gates. You tell them what they already know. The noise, the light, the weight of the crowd's voice. But you leave out the silence that followed. That silence belongs only to you. That night, you're given better food, better wine, and a place near the fire. The others look at you differently now, with respect, envy, and something darker. They know your victory raises the bar for all of them. They know that tomorrow. The crowd will demand the same from someone else, maybe from you again, maybe from them. When you finally lie down, the barracks feels too quiet. The taste of wine lingers on your tongue, sweet and bitter at once. You stare at the ceiling, listening to the faint breathing of the men around you. For a moment, you imagine what it would be like to be free, to walk through the streets without chains, without guards, without anyone shouting your name. But the thought doesn't last. Freedom feels like a memory from someone else's life. Instead, you think of the crowd, their faces, their voices, their hunger. You realize that the people of Rome don't just want blood. They want meaning. They want to believe that in your struggle, they're seeing something greater. Courage, fate, the fragile line between life and death. You've given them that, whether you meant to or not, and in return, they've given you something too. A name, a story, a place in the Empire's endless memory. It should feel like triumph, but it doesn't. It feels like weight. You close your eyes and see the sand again, the way it moved beneath your feet, the way the sunlight struck the blade, the way the crowd's roar filled the air. You hear it again, faint and distant, like the sea. You breathe in slowly, and the thought settles deep within you. Fame in Rome is not freedom. It's another chain, invisible, shining, and far harder to break. Dawn breaks over Rome like the slow lifting of a curtain. The city stirs beneath the pale light. Merchants shouting in the distance, carts rumbling over cobblestones, the faint toll of a bell from a temple somewhere across the river. You hear it all from the narrow window of the barracks. Standing still in the half-dark, your armor laid out before you. Today will not be like the others. You feel it in the air, heavy, electric, waiting. The doctor told you last night that this fight will be different. A festival day, a special event. The emperor himself will attend. You will face a man whose name you've heard whispered among the others. A veteran, undefeated. A killer made famous by the same crowd that once cheered for you. You eat little. The bread tastes of dust, the water of metal. Your stomach feels hollow, but your body moves without question. Each motion, dressing, tightening straps, fitting the armor, feels slow and deliberate, like a ritual, the final preparation for something you cannot yet name. The doctor comes to stand beside you. His voice is quiet, almost gentle. Remember what I taught you, not strength, control. You nod once. No more words are needed. When the guards arrive, you follow them through the long tunnel. The torches burn low along the walls, their flames wavering in the damp air. You can hear the distant roar before you see the light, that low, rolling thunder that means the crowd is waiting. The gate opens, sunlight floods in. The arena is vast and golden, the sand freshly raked, smooth as a painting. The noise of the crowd surges like a wave crashing against stone. Tens of thousands of voices blend into one. Laughter, shouts, applause. You step forward into it. And, for a moment, it feels as though the world is breathing with you. Your opponent is already there. He is tall, broad-shouldered, his armor scarred from 100 fights. His helmet bears the crest of a murmillo, the curved shield of the sea god Mars, and his weapon gleams sharp in the sunlight. He does not speak. He only watches you, still and calm. The crowd senses it. 2 survivors. 2 stories colliding. The noise grows louder. Pulsing with expectation, a horn sounds. The fight begins. The first few moments are pure rhythm. Strike, block, step, breathe. The sound of metal echoes across the walls. Sharp and bright. Each impact sends a tremor up your arm. You move carefully, watching, measuring. He is fast. Faster than you expected. His blade glances off your shield, close enough that you feel the heat of the metal against your skin. The sand shifts beneath your feet. You circle. The crowd roars each time the blades meet, then hushes when you separate. The air smells of sweat and iron. The sun beats down. Relentless, minutes pass like hours. He feints left, then cuts low. You block. The sound rings through your bones. He presses forward. You yield a step. Then another. The crowd cheers for him now. Their voices echo. One name repeated over and over. You remember the doctor's voice. Control. You breathe, wait, watch. Then it happens. The smallest shift in his stance. The fraction of a heartbeat too long between movements. You see the opening. You strike. Your blade finds flesh. The sound it makes is soft, almost human. He staggers, surprised, but doesn't fall. He swings wildly, his strength turning to desperation. You dodge, turn, and drive your shield forward. Hard. The impact sends him to the ground. The crowd explodes. He lies on his back, gasping, eyes bright behind the helmet's slit. You stand over him, sword poised. You wait for the Emperor's signal. The world holds its breath. The Emperor rises slowly from his seat, his robes a deep red against the marble. His hand lifts, hesitates. The crowd begins to chant, some shouting for mercy, others for death. The sound becomes deafening. You look down at the man beneath you. His chest rises and falls. His fingers twitch once against the sand. He doesn't beg. He only looks at you, steady, unafraid. You realize then that you're not seeing an enemy. You're seeing yourself, another man trapped in the same story. You raise your sword high. The sunlight catches the blade. The Emperor's hand wavers, then turns downward. The crowd screams. You move without thought. The moment is gone before it begins. When it's over, the arena erupts. The noise is overwhelming. A wall of sound pressing in from every side. You stand there, still, your breath shallow, your vision swimming. The sand around you is no longer gold, but red. You look up toward the Emperor's box. His face is unreadable. He nods once, a gesture of approval, of ownership. You turn away as you walk back toward the gate. The roar begins to fade again. It happens every time. The sound recedes, leaving only silence and the slow beat of your heart. In the corridor, the light dims. The air grows cooler. You remove your helmet. Sweat drips down your face, mixing with the dust. You feel older than you did an hour ago. The doctor meets you at the end of the passage. He studies your eyes, then simply says, "You did well." You nod. There are no victories here, only survivors. Later, when the crowd has gone and the arena stands empty, you walk once more across the sand. The marks of battle are still there. footprints, blood, the fragments of a broken shield. The air smells faintly of iron and smoke. You kneel for a moment and press your hand into the sand. It's warm still, holding the memory of everything that's happened. You wonder how many hands have done the same before you. How many men thought this was the end, only to realize it was another beginning above you. The last light of day fades into shadow. The torches flicker along the arches. Rome will feast tonight. The crowd will tell your story. In taverns, in the streets, in whispered awe. But you know the truth. You are not a hero. You are not free. You are part of the show, the echo of violence that Rome cannot live without. And yet, as you stand there one last time, the wind carrying the faint scent of blood and dust, you feel something quiet rise within you. It's not pride. It's not even peace. It's understanding. You have seen the face of Rome, and it has seen you. Years pass, though it's hard to say how many, in the world beyond the walls of the ludus. Emperors rise and fall, and the crowds find new favorites to cheer for. The sand of the arena keeps drinking blood. The torches keep burning, and the songs of Rome never fade. But for you, time has slowed. It no longer moves with the rhythm of combat. It breathes differently now, quietly, gently, like an old friend who no longer needs to speak. You no longer live in the barracks. The lanista released you long ago. The wooden sword of freedom, the rudies, lies on the small table beside your bed. Polished smooth from years of being handled. When they gave it to you, the crowd roared one last time. They called your name as if you were a god, a legend, a story that would never die. And yet, when you walked out of the arena that day, the city barely noticed. Rome moves on quickly. Its memory is long, but its attention is short. You returned to the narrow streets and the smell of bread and smoke. You found a small house on the edge of the city, near the Tiber, where the water runs slow, and the noise of the world fades by evening. Now, your mornings are simple. You wake to the sound of birds, not trumpets. You walk to the river and wash your hands in the cold water. Your shoulders ache when you lift them. The scars still mark your skin. Pale lines that tell the story of the life you survived. Sometimes children see them and ask what happened. You smile and tell them their old wounds from a long time ago. You don't tell them about the sand, the blades, or the roar. Some things belong to silence. You make a small living repairing nets for fishermen. The work is slow, patient. You like it. The rhythm reminds you of training, repetition, focus, control. But here, the stakes are different. No one dies when the knots fail. Occasionally, someone recognizes you, a merchant, an old soldier, a drunk in a tavern. Weren't you the gladiator, they ask? You nod, because it's easier than denying it. They tell you they saw you fight once, how brave you were, how strong, how glorious. You thank them. They don't see the truth in your eyes. At night, you sit by the small fire outside your door. The city glows in the distance, its lights trembling against the dark. You can hear faint echoes, laughter, music, the rumble of carts on stone. Sometimes you think you can hear the crowd again, rising like the sea, but it's only the wind, carrying the memories of a city that never truly sleeps. You think often of the men you trained with, those who never left the arena. You remember their voices, their faces, the sound of their laughter echoing in the barracks long after the torches had burned out. Most of them are gone now, lost to the sand, forgotten by the world. But in your mind, they still move, still fight, still breathe. You close your eyes and see the arena as it was, bright, endless, alive. You see yourself standing there, young and fierce, heart pounding, sword raised to the sky. You remember the weight of the helmet, the sting of sweat in your eyes, the blinding light of noon. You remember the fear, the noise, the silence after victory. And then you remember the moment the gates opened, and you stepped into the world again, the moment when the crowd's voice faded, and the only sound left was your own breath. Freedom, you realize, doesn't arrive all at once. It comes slowly, like dawn breaking after a long night. It's quiet. It doesn't roar like the crowd. It whispers. You watch the river flow, carrying bits of light on its surface. The sky above Rome begins to turn gold. The city stirs. Another day. Another beginning. Somewhere. Another young man is being trained in the sand, lifting a wooden sword, dreaming of survival. The world continues, as it always does. You smile. The past no longer frightens you. It no longer owns you. You carry it, the way a scar carries pain, not sharp anymore, just a memory of what it once meant to live. You take the rudies from the table, hold it in your hands, and trace the grain of the wood with your thumb. It feels light, almost fragile. You place it back carefully, as if it were something sacred. The first light of morning spills across the floor. The birds begin to sing. You close your eyes one last time and let the warmth of the sun fall over your face. The sand, the noise, the blood, all of it fades now, like mist dissolving in sunlight. You are no longer the gladiator. You are simply a man, breathing in the quiet of his final dawn.